So it's the end of yet another week, and here on this channel, that means one thing and one thing only. Every weekend I post an episode of this series we do called Your Take Not Mine, where I turn to you the viewers to give me your hottest NBA takes of the week based on what's going on at the time, and I then choose my favorite submissions and discuss them in a video. This week there has been even more enticing matchups going down between top teams, some more rumors of potential trades have come out, and a ton of intriguing storylines are there to follow, so we definitely have plenty to discuss. In order to submit your takes, I make a community post on either the day of or the day before the video, similar to the one that you see on your screen now, so if you want a chance to be featured in a future episode, be sure to stay on the lookout for that. Before we start though, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel, as all support is very much appreciated. Now with that being said, let's begin. The first take we'll be discussing today comes to us from Patrick, and he says that the Minnesota Timberwolves should honestly start exploring the idea of trading Karl Anthony Towns. This past offseason was one where a handful of teams went all in on all-star acquisitions, shipping out monster packages in return for their services, and the Timberwolves were one of those teams when they gave up an insane package of players and first-round draft picks in exchange for Rudy Gobert. The trade immediately heightened the expectations of the Timberwolves, because in theory, Gobert would come in and capably shore up some of their defensive issues, but the move also came with a ton of questions about his fit with franchise cornerstone Karl Anthony Towns. I mean, they both play the same position, and while basketball is trying to be more positionless in today's day and age, that typically applies to teams forming smaller lineups, not lineups with a twin towers of centers. Towns' biggest issue throughout his career has been the impact that he provides defensively, as he's been an average at best rim protector, but can oftentimes get exposed when forced to defend in space, specifically against pick and rolls. Rudy Gobert is a multiple-time Defensive Player of the Year winner, who is much better in that regard, but moving Towns to the power forward position was always something that would come with mixed results. The Wolves are currently a game under 500 in 10th place in the Western Conference standings, and even though a lot of teams are incredibly close in the standings, they still haven't looked like a cohesive unit for most of the season. It can absolutely be argued that the puzzle pieces don't fit together in Minnesota, but Towns is so important to the team offensively that this becomes quite a conundrum. In theory, it's tough to build a contender around a center that struggles on defense, but the business side of things alone, with the human nature element too, makes it tough to buy into moving someone that has been the face of the franchise for years. Unfortunately, if this Wolves core can't figure it out and turn things around, they may just be stuck, because I don't think Towns is going anywhere. The next take we'll be discussing today comes to us from Pam, and they say that the Wizards are long overdue to blow the team up and start over. The Wizards have not been in serious contention in quite some time, and over the years, they've followed similar patterns that always end poorly for them. They've started seasons hot on quite a few occasions. People start to take notice of it and ask themselves if this is the year that the Wizards can take that leap, then they fizzle out and get back to the mediocrity that they're destined for. For a while, they also had Bradley Beal's future contract hanging over their heads too, but Beal officially signed his extension with the team this summer, which was a mega contract that gave him a boatload of cash and control over his own future, with a no-trade clause. The whole time, the Wizards organization has been vehemently emphasizing that they plan to do whatever they can to build a winner around Beal, but as time goes on, the reality starts to look more and more like that just won't be possible. After starting off the season 11-10, the Wizards have now lost 9 games in a row, falling to 12th place in the Eastern Conference standings, and rumors are already being floated out there about trades being on the way. Kyle Kuzma has been able to break out in his 2 seasons on the Wizards so far, and this year he's having a career year averaging about 21 points per game. The Lakers are reportedly interested in possibly trading for him to reunite him with the team that drafted him, and as we get closer to the trade deadline, there will definitely be more suitors trying to trade for his services as they look to make a playoff push. If Kuzma does end up getting traded, then I do believe that would be the beginning of the end for this version of the Wizards, and it would lead to Beal cooperating with the front office to find him a new home. The roster already has a ton of young talent, Kristaps Porzingis only has 1 year left on his current contract anyway, and the likelihood of them attracting a big-name free agent is slim with the current state of affairs. I've said it in videos in the past that I never really thought Beal was fully bought in for the long haul anyway, he just wanted to secure a big payday, and now that he's done it, the fact that the team is sinking all but solidifies those prior assumptions, and a rebuild definitely could happen sooner rather than later. And finally, the last take we'll be discussing today comes to us from SK, and they say that the best player from the 2020 NBA draft is actually Tyrese Haliburton, not Anthony Edwards or LaMelo Ball. The 2020 NBA draft, in hindsight, was stacked with talent all throughout the draft, with productive players being found top to bottom, but the main debate from that class has always been between Anthony Edwards and LaMelo Ball for the cream of the crop. Edwards was drafted 1st overall and Ball was drafted 3rd overall, and already they're both looking like stars, as LaMelo already has an All-Star nomination on his resume, and Anthony Edwards has shown elite scoring flashes at the shooting guard position. For good reason, they have both gotten a ton of coverage for their play, but the commenter here makes a good point, in that a 3rd player is absolutely entering the conversation for that top spot, and that player is of course Tyrese Haliburton. Last season, Haliburton was controversially traded away from Sacramento to Indiana, where everyone questioned Sacramento's motives, but now looking back, it honestly looks like a win-win for everybody involved. Sacramento are one of the hottest teams in the league at the moment this year, and Tyrese Haliburton gets to run the show for a rebuilding team where he can have more freedom and the ultimate green light. Like LaMelo Ball last year, Haliburton this season is making an awfully strong case to receive his first All-Star nomination, as he is not only leading the entire NBA in assists per game, but he's also scoring about 20 points per game while shooting the ball incredibly efficiently, making 48% of his shots and 39% of his threes. He does this, mind you, while also playing some very solid perimeter defense, making him a threat on both ends. He checks every box that you could possibly want from your point guard, he's more efficient than both Edwards and LaMelo, and he has much more balanced production than those two. And his numbers aren't even empty, as he's elevating this Pacers team into playoff contention when everyone else wrote them off before the season. Haliburton is the real deal, and obviously these young players have long careers ahead of themselves, so nothing is set in stone, but as of right now, I think Haliburton does have the edge over the other two in this debate. And with that being said, that's all I have for you today. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below what you think about the takes we discussed. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.